how long does it take to become a novelist? Hey everyone, Matt Townend, fantasy writer here, and I've just released my debut novel, Plague: Shadow of the Rat King, which is a historical fantasy comedy about the undertaker who starts the Great Plague of London 1665 to save his dying business. This is my daily vlog where hopefully you're going to watch me go from 0 sales up to bestseller status. Now, a question I often get asked is, how long does it take to become a novelist? Well, I'm probably not the best example of this. I started writing my first novel when I was 10, and I'm proud to say I'm still writing the same novel. And that's not the novel I just published. This is a different series, and I'm still, kind of my big epic series that I'm still working on. But in the meantime, I published Plague: Shadow of the Rat King, which is a part of my Plague comedy series. And that's kind of 17th century disasters turned into comedy. So you've got the Great Plague, you've got the Great Fire, and I won't tell you what other disasters are coming later. There's 5 books planned in the Plague series. But yeah, so I started when I was 10. The thing about writing when you're 10, though, I wanted to be Tolkien, like a lot of young fantasy writers. So you end up copying what others have done, maybe their style, the narrative. A lot of Tolkien fans turned writers end up with a sort of, scene in a village, and then the bad guys come to the village, just like in The Shire and the Dark Riders. So you have to kind of escape those models, those forerunners, those things you loved. You also have to find your own style, and that can take a while. I knew I was a good writer when I was young. I always got good marks at school for creative writing and stuff like that. I could feel this was something I loved and I was good at. But what I didn't understand, what's not well taught in schools, frankly, is I didn't understand the structure of a story. I didn't know how to actually plan it all out and keep it going. And that took me a long time to really work out. I kind of went on a quest trying to find out what is the perfect story structure. And I read loads and loads of famous books about it and spent years working this out. And by the time I was 30, I created my own system for story narration that I thought really made sense. It was based on lots of other people's systems kind of cobbled together. And so I knew what I was doing now. I was happy with my style. Also, style needed a bit of development as well. Some people that inspired me were like Jonathan Stroud and Thomas Harris. Big fan of Thomas Harris and his use of style. I realized that style doesn't have to be so narrowly confined, and you can have fun with it. And I found my voice. So yeah, now I'm in my 40s, and I have written my first novel. I'm really, really happy with it. As I say, it's called Plague: Shadow of the Rat King. You can get it right now on Amazon, so check it out. But yeah, it took some time. And I'm also, by the way, an English literature teacher. I studied at Exeter and Oxford, so I also teach creative writing, which I think also helped me develop as a creative writer and as a writer myself. So yeah, I think there are people who just come to it naturally, just bang. Young writers like the writer of Eragon, was able to write a full novel very, very young. I wasn't able to do that because, frankly, I was too self-critical. I always felt this is not good enough yet. And I was probably right. It wasn't just being picky. I think I was probably right. It wasn't good enough, honestly. I'd write a few chapters and then I would not want to write more. I would be bored of my own story. That's not a good sign, right? But there were reasons for that, and there were reasons why it wasn't working, which now I can understand. So now the stories I write are something that I really want to write, and I'm excited to write, and therefore hopefully should be exciting to read. But it does take time to get to that stage. It did for me anyway. So yeah, I think the earlier you start, the better, but it's okay if you don't feel you've got something ready to show the world until your 30s and 40s. What is it they say, 40s is mastery or something like that, 30s? Anyway, when you're in your 20s, you're still experimenting. Even your 30s, you're still working stuff out. It's really in your 40s, this is true for life generally, I think, that you really start to know what you're doing. So yeah, these are the good times, I think, right now.